Hi guys, coming at you today with a Beastmaster Hunter video. Best in slot gear for your Beastmaster Hunter in patch 9.1. The idea of this video is just to let you know the quick rundown of what you should be aiming to get, specifically covering dungeons and raid, Sanctum of Domination raid, and the best pieces of gear that you can get from each one of those in each slot. To jump on in though, we're going to go with an early number one, starting with the weapons. The Philosopher is on there, which drops from the Spires of Ascension. You can get it at eye level 252 from your Great Vault, or eye level 236 from a level 15, and you can upgrade it to 246 with Valor. Or, and if you're lucky enough to grab your hands on one of these, the legendary bow that drops from Sylvanas Windrunner, Racialar Death's Whisper. Obviously, these both give crit and haste, which is our best secondary stats for Beastmaster Hunter. The haste is great, the crit is haste. For the bow, you can get it at eye level 233, 246, or 259 from Mythic if you're lucky enough to have a team that can farm that. And it drops from the final boss of the raid, Sylvanas Windrunner. Let's move on right along to the Helm, which is really, really important for almost everything except for M+ dungeons. That's because this gives the Unholy Domination set bonus. It is the only piece that gives this bonus. There's another Helm, but this is our best in slot stat Helm. And this drops from Painsmith Rasnau. It drops at I-226 from normal, 239 from heroic, and 252 from mythic. I highly, highly recommend you get this as fast as you can. It does not matter if it's I-226, even if it's a lower eye level piece, because the unholy sockets, which we will talk about at the end, are so incredibly strong right now that you need to get your hands on this as soon as possible if you want to do competitive damage with everybody else. Moving right along, we're going to go on to the shoulders, which drop from Sylvanas Windrunner once again. These drop at eye level 233, eye level 246, and eye level 259 from Mythic, normal, heroic, Mythic, respectively. Last boss of the dungeon, so very difficult to get your hands on. There is another set of shoulders that you can grab. However, these are the ones you want with the best slots. You can get the Winds of Winter Domination set bonus from having shoulders, but we use the Unholy set, not the Winds of Winter set. For now, there's the talk of buffs coming to this set, so we might change eventually, but competitively, right now, Unholy is the best, so we almost get no use out of the set bonus. However, the extra Domination socket helps because they're the extra damage shards that we want to equip, and therefore we want to make sure we get these shoulders as soon as possible. Moving on, we have the Cloak, which once again drops from Sylvanas Windrunner. However, this one is a little bit cooler. Every 10th auto shot from your bow, which is when you just, you right click on an enemy and your guy automatically attacks. Every 10th attack like that strikes up to 5 enemies from around 500 to 1,000 shadow damage. It can crit, obviously, and it hits per target. So, very, very strong passive. It's not huge, it's not insanely big, but it's damage that no other class will get passively from a cloak spot, which gives hunters a little bit of an advantage there. Drops at I-233 from normal, 246 from heroic, and I-259 from mythic, and really good cave to get your hands on. The chest piece, moving right along, we have the Colossus Slayer's Hauberk, which drops from the first boss of the raid, the Terragru. This grants the Bloodlink Domination Shard set bonus, which once again we will not be using because of the Unholy set. However, if you only have access to the Winds of Winter one in the Blood set, or just the Blood set, this is perfectly good to use. It is the second best Domination set you can have. And it drops at I-226 in normal, I-239 in heroic, and I-252 in mythic. It's really important that you get at least 3 slots plus the helm to make sure you get the Unholy set as soon as you can, but if you don't have that yet, the Blood set works just as well. Not just as well, but slightly underneath. Anyways, moving along to Kel'Thuzad's Bands of the Fallen House. These wrists drop from the second to last boss of Sanctum of Domination, and they drop at I-233, I-246, and I-259. They do have haste verse, which verse is not our best stat. However, we want to use these because they drop 7 eye levels higher than every other piece of gear we can get in the game, which means we get more agility, and it sims just ever so slightly better than perfect stat gear. So that's why this is our best in slot wrist. Moving along, we have hands, Hakari Revenant's grips, which drop from the other side at eye level 252 if you get it from the Great Vault, or eye level 236 if you get it from the dungeon, and you can upgrade it to eye level 246 through Valor. Or your alternative to these is Demigods of Predestination. These drop from Fate Scribe Rokalo in the Sanctum Domination raid at eye level 226 for normal, eye 239 for heroic, and eye 252 for mythic. Now we have the Waste. Once again, another Domination socketed piece for us. This drops from the second to last boss of the Sanctum of Domination. Once again, that's Kel'Thuzad. They drop at eye 233 from normal, eye 246 in heroic, and eye 259 in mythic. And more importantly than anything else, it is the fact that they have a Domination socket. While Mastery isn't our best stat, once again, it is because these drop 7 eye levels higher than every other Waste in the game. That is what makes these so good. Now, we have legs. I will talk more about the legendary later. I am going to have a page dedicated to all of our legendary options, specifically for Night Fae, because I think most hunters are Night Fae. Venthyr have some others, but just know that Rylestalker's Piercing Fangs is a legendary we can craft, and that best crafted spot is our legs, so that's why this is on here. However, if you're not going to go with that legendary, Lichbone's leg guards drop from the Necrotic Wake or your Great Vault. Great Vault is eye level 252. And through the Necrotic Wake, you can get these at 236 and upgrade them to 246 through Valor. They're Haste Verse, which is perfectly decent stats. Verse is not our best, but they are really, really good legs. However, the absolute best you can get is from the 9 in Sanctum of Domination. And that is because they drop at eye level 252 and do have our best secondary stats, which is Crit and Haste. They drop at 226, 239, and 252, depending on what level of difficulty you're on. Moving right along, we have Boots. This is an easy one. There's only one really great option for us, a really good option. It's not even our best in slot stats, but it has the Domination socket, which is so important because the gems give so much passive damage that not having one of these is, honestly, it's a huge DPS loss. It can be from 1 to 3% damage per shard, which is absolutely nutty. These things are way overtuned, but just having this slot is really, really good. Once again, eye 226 from normal, 239 from heroic, and 252 from mythic. And this drops from Soul Render Dormazane in the Sanctum Domination. Moving along to our rings, we have the Tarnished Insignia of Kel'Thuzad, which drops from Sylvanas Windrunner. Sylvanas has a lot of our best in slot gear, which makes sense because she was tuned around hunters and rogues. The intention was for them to be very strong and to be, this fight was kind of made for hunters, so she drops hunter gear. She drops it at eye 233, eye 246, and eye 259. And additionally, you can get another ring, which has our best in slot stats from Plaguefall, because it has crit haste. And it drops at eye 246, or 236, you can upgrade it with Valor. These Valor upgrades are very, very cheap on the ring too. They only cost around 250 Valor. So you can pretty much max it out if you get it on if you get it from a level 15 dungeon or higher, you can get this up to 246 in 1 week with the Valor cap. You can also get it at eye 252 from the Great Ball. Moving on to the neck, we have Interplanar Keystone, which drops from Kel'Thuzad, eye 233, 246, and eye 259. It has crit haste, which are best stats, and it's a very good neck. However, you will definitely not be using this necklace because Beastmaster's best in slot necklace for Night Fae, which is the most popular covenant, is Fragments of the Elder Antlers, which we will be making on our next slot. This is our best in slot neck on 1 to 4 targets. However, if we get a 5th target, Fragments of the Elder Antlers becomes completely worthless because it only hits 1 to 4 targets for some reason. You would think they would cap it, but I digress. It's crafted in the next slot. It's really, really good, and it goes up to eye 262, I believe. I think it's eye 62. Trinkets. Salvaged Fusion Amplifier, which drops from the Guardian of the First Ones in the Sanctum Domination raid, is absolutely bonkers damage. For 20 seconds, every auto attack, like we talked about earlier, with the Withering Fire on the Cloak, every auto attack has a very high chance to deal 1290 arcane damage. Now, admittedly, that damage is on the eye level 226 version, which drops from normal. It scales up, so it'll actually be higher at eye level 252 from the Mythic drop if you can get your hands on that. Definitely recommend that one. That is our highest simming trinket by far. But our second highest simming trinket is Relic of the Frozen Waste, which drops from Kel'Thuzad, the second to last raid boss of the Sanctum Domination raid, and it drops at eye 233, eye 246, and eye 259. It is a really, really strong trinket. It has a passive damage effect that just adds a lot of passive damage, but Every minute, you can call down a Nerubian to ambush your enemy for like 10,000 damage, which is insanely good for a trinket on a 1 minute cooldown. And everybody that you've hit with that passive damage from the passive will now be hit if they're in your way for another basically 1,000 damage on top of it. Very, very strong trinket. These two are our best sending trinkets, and if you get your hands on both, you will be absolutely popping off on the damage shards. Moving on to the Domination shards. Now, as we were talking about earlier, these Domination shards are a huge chunk of our damage, even the ones not in our set bonus. So, optimally, we will have 5 Domination slots, right? We'll have, since we're male, we will have, well, I guess all of them do, but we'll have helm, we'll have waist, we'll have shoulders, we'll have boots, and I'm missing one that I can't think of right this second. However, if you go back in the video, you can check it out. I should list them here. But we're going to be socketing 3 of those slots with Chaos Bane. So all of the 3 unholy shards. The one that gives speed, one that gives passive damage whenever you use a beneficial effect. It just kind of like rotates an aura around you. And the third one increases your damage if you hit a target 3 times. So for each time you hit it, it gets a stack of bonus damage. We're going to use those 3 to generate our Chaos Bane set with the helmet. And that's going to give us this insane amount of damage that you see down here on the bottom. It's going to give us 30 primary stat at max rank for 30 seconds. But this stacks. So your first stack, you get 30, right? Your second stack, 60. 10 stacks, you're at 600 agility. 15 stacks, you're at 900 agility. Technically, you can't get to 15 stacks, you get to 14. And then you get to, whenever you get to 15, you get the extra agility bonus. But at 14 stacks, think about that. It's 600 plus 4, 120, 720 agility. You just have 720 agility for 30 seconds. And then when you go to your 15th stack, suddenly you go to 900 agility for 15 seconds. That is an insane amount of agility. And if you can manage to line this up with like Wild Spirits cooldown, you're going to be absolutely demolishing anything that comes close to you. I mean, the damage output is so ridiculous that this last week they tried to nerf it. Well, I think they accidentally pushed a hotfix which reduced Unholy set by 50%. However, recently they came out with a news report that says they were going to do this, but because of the community backlash, they are no longer planning to pursue the nerfs. They're just going to balance the rest of the sets to match Unholy, is what we're thinking. Or they're going to nerf or buff the bosses to make them a little bit harder to compensate, which is fine because, you know, harder bosses, we get it. That's fine. These Unholy sets were really strong. They didn't really think about that when it was coming out. They're just so broken. But I think, you know, Unholy is not going to be touched. They said they're not going to touch it, so definitely plan to upgrade these. These are probably going to be your best in slot, unless these buffs come out to the Shard of Core, or the Frost set, and the Blood set that make them way stronger, because right now just the primary set is insane. But in addition to the Unholy, the 3 gems from that we're going to be using to get the Chaos Bane set, we are also going to be using 1 Frost Shard, the Core Frost Shard. This increases our damage by 3% for 20 seconds after hitting an enemy that you have not yet attacked. Really good for M+. It's also really good for fights with adds, because every time you hit one of those adds in the Sanctum Domination, like on a boss fight, you're going to get this extra 3% damage just passively, and it feels really strong. Additionally, it lines up with your opening burst, so you get 3% damage on pull because it's your first time hitting a new enemy, which is really good, especially if you're bloodlusting on pull. Additionally, Shard of Beck, the Blood Shard, is going to be our 5th socketed shard, and this one increases our damage by 2% when you have 50% or more health than your target. Now, this is not 50% like flat numbers, this is percent health. So essentially, if my enemy has 20% health and I have 70% health, then I'm getting this bonus. But if my enemy has 20% health and I'm at 40% health, then I'm not going to get this bonus. So as soon as the boss goes down to below 50% HP, you're getting this bonus if you're at full health. Because you'd be at 100%, he'd be at 50, right? So that's why we use this. It's really good for the execute phase. Works well with kill shot. Really adds up some damage. So that's our Domination socketed shards, our best in slot. The 3 Chaos Bane shards with the helmet, and then obviously the 2 damage ones from the Frost Shard and the Blood Shard sets. Now let's talk about legendaries. Fragments of the Elder Antlers, which we're going to be making on the neck, is our best in slot for Night Fae, assuming there's fewer than 4 targets. However, a lot of the times in M+, there is more than 4 targets, but because this works on bosses, because this works on smaller packs that you might pull of 2 deadly enemies, we're still generally going to bring this to M+. It's just really, really strong right now, and it's a fun piece to use. It's kind of cool that we get to change it up. This tier. Like last year, we did have Ryle Stalker's Piercing Fangs, which is fun, but now that we have Fragments of the Elder Antlers, it just feels really, really cool to have a new kind of set bonus. But if you are in a situation where you're going to be hitting more than 4 targets consistently, Ryle Stalker's Piercing Fangs is still our best in slot legendary. It's also really good if you're not Night Fae. If you're Venthyr, for instance, if you're Necrolord or Kyrian, I would probably go Ryle Stalker's Fangs, unless you want to build the Covenant legendaries, which are also pretty strong. However, I haven't summoned those personally, so I'm not exactly sure how strong they are. I know the Venthyr one is probably the best in slot, but if you don't want to go with your class or your Covenant-specific legendary, Ryle Stalker's Piercing Fangs is one of the highest stemming damage legendaries for Beastmaster Hunters in all aspects of the game. So I definitely recommend picking that one up just for a general use purpose. And obviously it increases while Bestial Wrath is active, your pet's critical damage dealt is increased by 35%. Anyways, I think that about wraps it up. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you have a different list of best in slot gear that kind of you like better, or something you would rather prefer to use, I definitely recommend it. Stemming your character, making sure that it's the best in slot, it's the best damage for you. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you can. It really helps me out so much. I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Trying to get to I think it's 4,000 watched hours of content. So whenever you get to that, you can finally monetize your videos, which I think is cool. And that's the reason it's really important to ask you guys for subscribers and likes. Obviously, if you're not into the video, you don't want to subscribe or like, I totally get that too. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much if you made it to the end of the video, or if not, you didn't make it to the end. Thank you for watching at all or clicking. I really, really appreciate it. You guys are the best. You make this worth doing, and hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace out.